Shark cage diving is oftentimes cited as being the best way to get in the waters with creatures like the great white shark, the bull shark, and the tiger shark. And I do largely agree, especially with sharks like the great white, a shark that otherwise would be pretty much impossible to actually get in the water with. For, amateur divers can now actually pay to go down in a diving cage and get first-hand experience on with great white sharks. Now, how safe are diving cages? Diving cages have not had a reported fatality from a shark attack in history. Now, that doesn't mean that they're completely 100% safe. Obviously, you're still in the water with a wild animal. Accidents do happen. Some noticeable ones would be when chumming in the water, and great white sharks are they're eating, and they end up ramming the cage and getting tangled up in the ropes and then going crazy. They can rip off the ropes. They can break the actual cage off from the boat. That's a big no-no. You have great white sharks that will ram the cage and get their heads stuck. That's also a big no-no. So diving cages have a lot of pros to get in the waters with large sharks like the white shark and large tiger and bull sharks, which are all aggressive sharks. The issue with cages is obviously they are not made to stop smaller sharks. So sharks like blue sharks and reef sharks, actually, there's been reported accidents of these sharks getting in cages. And obviously I shouldn't need to explain why being in a metal enclosure underwater with a thrashing 7-foot blue shark might be issuematic for you. Now, if you disagree with that, let me know in the comments. But personally, locked in a cage with a shark, that is a dream come true, but at the same time, no thank you. Now, with diving cages, and I always have wanted to be in a diving cage, I actually have had diving cage experience in aquariums. The Denver Aquarium offers a full glass one that they put you in the water with, some large sand tiger sharks and nurse sharks. Very cool experience. If you can afford it and you're near the Denver Aquarium, I absolutely 100% suggest doing it. I wasn't able to find my GoPro footage for it, but it was a amazing experience. I loved every second of it. But to actually get in the open water, a metal cage, obviously you notice has bars. It's all metal. And the targeted species with these dives are great white sharks. Now, obviously, a great white shark isn't going to look at a cage and go, oh, yummy, and eat everyone in there. Can't really do that. But being mindful that you still are putting yourself in a spot where your ropes could snap, a shark could get tangled in there, a shark could get stuck in there. There obviously are still dangers present. Obviously, it's way safer than getting in the water with just a great white shark alone. That's a bigger no-no. But I do want to just point out that shark cages are relatively safe. They're a great way for people to get hands-on experience diving with sharks, being in the same water as sharks, getting open water experience with larger sharks, especially if it's in a spot where there's more aggressive shark species, bull sharks, tiger sharks. Now, obviously, you will still see a lot of videos of people swimming or scuba diving without a cage with tigers and bull sharks. But if you're introducing elements like chumming, obviously, I've seen plenty of videos of people hand-feeding bull sharks, but you also see videos of bull sharks accidentally biting someone doing that. I have seen, I think the coolest thing ever is when they hand-feed the great white sharks out of the cage. It's just an amazing thing to actually watch. It's crazy cool. I'd totally be petting a great white shark. But just keeping in mind that, again, it is a wild creature or wild experience, and obviously, chumming can introduce any sort of shark into the elements. Cages, like I stated, are great for large sharks like white sharks and tiger sharks. But smaller sharks, blue sharks, reef sharks, this can be issuematic. Obviously, you don't want a blue shark or an oceanic white tip crashing into your cage and now being trapped in there with you. I've heard a couple stories of it happening. It just isn't gonna be a happy ending. I think the most notable accidents I did a little bit of research on before this video was a case of where a guy was, the white shark crashed. It was a juvenile white shark. It actually ended up getting partly in the cage. Like I was saying, it got stuck. So he was backed up in the corner and the shark was snapping at him, halfway in the actual bars of the cage and couldn't get out. And the whole cage was shaking, and he actually had to get out in the water with other sharks. There was multiple white sharks in the area and had to, get up in the boat. But other than that, I think diving cages are a great and safe way for people to get in the water with sharks, just keeping in mind that smaller shark species can get into the cage, and obviously to just be mindful of your presence, and you don't want to have to deal with a stuck great white shark on the cage, getting stuck up with the ropes. Anyways, let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. Please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and join the Discord that's linked down below in the description, and I hope to see you guys in a later video.